Welcome to Yarn ChickHen. I'm Mrs. T.
And we're all the friends.
What are we going to talk about today, Mr. T?
Well, Mrs. T, today is episode 15, and we're going to talk about UFOs and FOs, Mr. T's absolute beginner's Amigurumi corner, Birdie's photo shoot, and Scottish word of the day. Over to you, Mrs. T.
I've got 2 FOs this week. I'm quite pleased with myself because, like I said, I have a traditional full-time job outside the house and it does eat up a lot of my time. And I had two finished objects this week. The first of which is the Parakeet.
Woohoo!
And I think she came out fantastic.
Very cute. Very cute little sparkly red beak. That really is a great wee pattern, isn't it?
Yes.
Pretty little parakeet. That was number 3 in the series.
And I think what I like so much about this little pattern is, obviously you change the colors, you put in this little dark ring around the neck of the bird, and I added the little ring from between the eyes that goes right over the beak on a lot of parakeets, and suddenly it's a different bird. I also slightly tried to shape the beak a little bit differently. So you can see.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I shaped the beaks just a little bit different for each bird, but I find that that's the real trick, is just adding a little bit of this or taking a little bit of that away. And despite it being the same pattern, I mean, they're just so darn cute, so cute. So she came out really, really well. So she's got a little buddy to play around with, the girls. And that is my finished object number 1. And my finished object number 2 has been on timeout for a while because I got quite annoyed. A lot of the viewers who've been following since we started in Christmas will know that I get some crochet magazines as a Christmas present from Mr. T. And the name of the magazine escapes me just now.
Crochet Now, I
Is
think.
it Crochet Now? Crochet Now. They had this cute little penguin in the very first magazine that I got from them. And oh, so darn cute. Look.
Yay.
The cutest little thing in his big old head. Now the pattern comes that you make ear muffs and a scarf and put eyebrows. I didn't like the ear muffs, and I'm, as you well know if you've been watching as well, I go rogue a lot. I don't do what I'm supposed to do sometimes. And one of the things was I didn't really like the ear muffs, and I did not like the eyebrows. I had to remove them. I didn't like them. Yes, Mr. T.
If you could just hold the penguin up a little bit, I'd like to say that you go rogue virtually all the time.
Not all the time. Not all the time. Moving on.
No comment.
So this little, but the beauty of the little guy is that I did learn of the Crochetniacs on YouTube because this was her pattern. And I also decided that I very much like the yarn under when crocheting amigurumis. Especially when you're doing color changes, because I mean, look at that. Look how nice that came out. I don't think
really cool.
I've ever had color changes look so good. I'm not not too keen on patches all the time. Sometimes patches for eyes and stuff like that I'm quite all right with, and patches like this little felly. He's got little patches. Can you see him?
Yes.
So he's got little
There.
patches, and then I put the eyes through, and I quite like that. But sometimes the amigurumis that have like patches on the belly or whatever, sometimes, especially probably because a lot of those ones will have been with chunkier yarn, and I have a tendency to use the thinner yarns, and so it probably wouldn't be such a big deal. But I really like the way that, you know, it's all in one. It's not a raised bit. Sometimes you want a raised bit. That's the look you're going for, but sometimes you just don't, and I don't like the look. So now that I can do that is just fabulous, isn't it? Look at it. But I had to start this over 9 times because it wasn't coming out the way it was in the magazine. And when I did a little bit of research, it turned out it was a yarn under. And there might be people saying, oh, but maybe the magazine didn't know. Well, they should know, because first of all, they changed it from US terms to UK terms, and look how cute he came out. And they've had patterns either before then or after then that were yarn under, and they stated it. They just didn't state it with this, and that's why he ended up being on timeout, because I was struggling. That was my cue just fell. So that's my second FO for the week. And now for my UFOs, my unfinished objects, also known as WIPs, works in progress. I prefer UFO. It sounds more mystic and outer worldly. I've been crocheting a little bit too much for my own liking. So now I'm working on some unfinished objects that have been on the back burner pretty much, I think, since we started the channel back in December 2025. So I thought it's about high time that I finish these little guys, because they've got homes they need to go to. So my unfinished objects are my knitted frogs, a pattern by Claire, a pattern by Claire Garland. And I'll let you take that, Mr. T. He's looking a bit raggedy because he needs sewing up and finishing up, but he's got 1 arm left.
Yeah.
Out of his 3. Well, 2 legs and the other arm.
He's almost done, when you
Yep.
think about it.
And I was knitting 2 at once. So the second one is this one here, but it's still attached to the ball because she's still, as you can see, still knitting. I'm halfway through.
Yeah.
Halfway through the 3rd arm.
Oh, here she goes.
So I'll finish that off, and then I'll pick up the stitches on both the frogs, and I'll do their 4th appendage. And then all I'll have to do is tie up all the loose ends, and they'll be done. But they really, really need finishing because they've been on pause for too many months. So that's my UFO, 2 of them, for the week. Yes, Mr. T.
So how does it feel knitting again?
Oh, I'm quite happy. Quite happy to be knitting again. It's quite fun. I like amigurumi whether I'm knitting or crocheting, but sometimes, because like I've said in the previous video when we were doing our review of the hooks, I do knit looser, and so it's a little bit more relaxing for my hands if I'm knitting, doing amigurumi, than when I'm crocheting, because I've got a tighter grip and a little more clenchy. I'm a little more clenchy when I'm crocheting amigurumi. But if I'm just crocheting like the blanket squares, it's a more relaxed grip, you know, so it's a bit different. But yeah, I quite like it. I quite enjoy both of them, really. I think I like them equally, but I do like to equally do them. I don't like to just focus on one all the time. I like to go back and forth to the knitting and the crochet. So I'm quite pleased, actually, since you've asked.
Very good.
Now it's time for Mr. T's Absolute Beginner's Corner. Take it away, Mr. T.
Well, you might have known from the introduction that I actually said Mr. T's absolute beginner's amigurumi corner. And if you look at the screen now, you're going to see various bits and bobs that make up something. See if you can recognize what there is. So did you guess what it was going to be? It is one of the birdies. And this is him live in the flesh.
Can you see him?
Yes. Might want to go back a wee bit because he's quite big. So I've never crocheted an amigurumi or plush toy before, so I was quite chuffed.
Look at the little feet. Well, Mr. T, can I just say, I don't think you've crocheted anything before. I mean, your little blanket was just you practicing to start with, and
Yes.
you named it as a blanket afterwards, you know, doll blanket afterwards. You haven't actually crocheted anything really, but look. So for those people, those self-doubters that say, oh, I can't do amigurumi, I just can't do that. If Mr. T can do it, who's never done this before, and people might look at this and say, oh yeah, you must have helped him. Well, I helped him, but he did the work. I just told him, oh no, that's wrong, or oh no, you've got too many stitches. And I did a lot of frogging back on him. And the looks on his little face, every time I frogged it back on him, and he had to do a row over, it was heartbreaking, but it was necessary. Some mistakes you can't fix by just adding or reducing a stitch. Sometimes you have to go all the way back, especially when you're shaping. As you can see, there's a lot of shaping involved, and you know, sometimes you can correct something in the same row and it's okay, but sometimes you just can't. So there was a lot of frogging, and any self-doubters, stop doubting yourselves. You can do this. You can do it. You can do this. You tell them, Mr. T, tell them they can do it.
You can do it. There was a lot of stuffing involved.
Birdie, I'm talking to you.
Yes. The only thing the pattern I think lacked was telling you how to sew at the end.
Yeah.
It just basically said, well, there's the wings and there's the legs, and that's it.
Yeah,
It doesn't tell you how to sew them onto the body.
That was part of the thing, because it's supposed to be a beginner pattern. So they even have on the pages how to do certain stitches and that sort of thing. But nowhere do they say how to actually sew the wings and the feet on. I didn't actually notice that because I'm not a beginner. So when I was, you know, going through the kit and giving you my review, I think really it's Mr. T that should be given the review, because he had no idea how to sew any of the stuff on. And I was like, well, what does the pattern say? And he said, it doesn't say. And I was like, it doesn't? And so I went through and I was like, holy moly, they've got all these extra things on how to do this and how to do that, but they don't tell you how to sew the things on. They just say, sew them on. And then just like the eye accents, they don't even tell you how to do that. They just say, apply eye accents in a V shape. And that was it. And don't actually show you how to do any of that in the pattern for a beginner pattern. So You know, some beginner patterns are quite explicit, and some of them are beginner, I guess because they're a simple pattern, but they're not explicit enough, I think, for some beginners. So I did a lot of helping with how to sew the wings, the little wings on, and the tail and the feet. But I think that Mr. T did a fabulous job. So all you self-doubters that don't think you can do amigurumi, yes you can. Totally.
Yes, you can. So I think we should have a little question for the viewers. What should we name all the birdies?
Yeah, if you have any suggestions for the birds. So far, there's 4 now, because there's the 3 I made, and there's this big, ginormous one, which I have to show you the size difference. Oops, monkey fell. You can't be causing trouble, monkey. Don't sit on the bird.
He's a bit bigger.
There's the size difference. So any suggestions? These 2 are the golden orioles. Then we've got the little female blackbird. And then we've got the little, I've decided to make her a girl, little female parakeet. And this little guy, he'll need a name as well. And he is a bird.
A penguin.
So if anybody has any suggestions, and don't be silly with your suggestions either. No perverted comments or hateful things. Make them cute. Make them cute comments and cute names. And I think that would be stupendous. I didn't even say that right. It's stupendous, isn't it?
Yes.
Stupendous.
Yes.
Not stupendous. That's like a soup sachet.
There we go. That was my little, or big, first amigurumi piece.
I hope you enjoyed all that, our FOs of the week. We were going to do a special video today and film all the birds out in nature and in the wild, but Storm Dave didn't agree with us. Rain, wind, more rain, more wind. And then when we had a little bit of sunshine, by the time we stepped outside the front door, rain, wind, more rain and wind. Yes, Mr. T?
You forget it even tried to snow.
Oh, yes. Yeah, let's not forget about the snow. I mean, the flakes were floating down and then it started raining again. But it was really not, the weather was not with us. We had Friday we tried Saturday, we tried Sunday. So we've just given up. We've given up and we've done a little indoor photo shoot of all the little birds. So we will watch that now. And now it's Mr. T's Scottish word of the day. Take it away, Mr. T.
Thank you, Mrs. T. Well, after Storm Dave ruined our plans, there could only be one word for Scottish word of the day today, and that is GLEY. But it's not "Whey, happy glee." As you can see, it is spelled GLEY, and it actually means when something's squint or off-center. And of course it was famously used by our national bard or poet Rabbie Burns, who basically said something that a lot of you will know without knowing that you know. And he said, the best laid schemes of mice and men gang after glee. Which of course John Steinbeck, was it, who wrote Of Mice and Men? Talking about best laid plans going awry. Well, it came from Rabbie Burns. And that is glee. So that perfectly sums up how our little photo shoot, which we were all happy with the birds, was a washout.
We had plans. We had plans, Mr. T.
We had plans. We were going to go to the lake. We're going to put them in the daffodils, all sorts of things. So let's see what we can come up with sometime soon. But there we go. That's our Scottish word for the day. Glee, spelled Gley.
And if you've watched this far, thank you very much for watching. We appreciate everybody who watches all the way to the end. I think the emoji for today should be rain. A little bit of rain, a little bit of rain. And if you could like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell, we would totally appreciate that. And thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.